Welcome to this edition of the Awakening Women podcast. In this episode, we're chatting about polarity in relationships based on the law of polarity and masculine, feminine energies. This is something that I've always been interested in, and I've always dabbled in it and, read books on it. But over the last 2.5 years, I'd say, I have been quite obsessed with it actually, and have been doing nothing but looking for resources and teachers, especially some of the original teachers of masculine feminine polarity, like some of the authors and teachers that maybe aren't even doing it anymore because they're older or they're not alive anymore. And I have just found it very fascinating. And I know there are some sides that will say this is silly, men should be able to do the same as women can do the same as men, and where feminism comes in. But we're not really having that conversation. This isn't about men or women equality, really. Let's just say we're all equal. We all have equal value, both genders. So this is more about energy, and we're going to talk about the law of polarity. And I'm going to be talking more about this because for me, I don't want to teach something that I am still really new figuring out myself. I believe this is a journey, and I maybe have only just scratched the surface over the last couple of years. But I've been, behind the scenes studying and applying and testing out some of these theories in my own life. And it's quite cool what happens. Now, if you are in a relationship with a narcissistic partner who's gaslighting, controlling, manipulating, coercing, lying, he's passive aggressive, he doesn't take the lead, you're left to do everything. And as I've said, it feels like you're a married single mother. When you start stepping into this work, it naturally starts to become very clear what this relationship is and how it's not working for you. When you stop doing all of the doing, the hero role, the helping, enabling, rescuing, and overfunctioning that I talk about in my classes, it's magical what happens. And so applying this work is really about stepping back from the things you're doing that are really not your role, the things that you don't want to necessarily be doing, the things that you are having to push and control and lead and take, organize, and you're doing it all. And it leads to burnout. And quite frankly, it leads to zero libido, lack of desire. You don't feel turned on. Sex is the last thing that you're wanting to do in a relationship where this is happening. So when it comes to universal laws, the law of polarity, if you want to research it or look it up even more where it comes from, you can do that. But we're just going to keep it simple here and just say that according to the law of polarity, people with opposite sexual energy produce an attractive force between them, while people with the same energy produce a neutral or repulsive force. Think magnets that attract or repel. Simply put, opposites attract. So one of the things that you might be thinking is, oh no, my man is very masculine. He's very dominating and controlling. And, you might think that they are because they have these ways of being, but it's not actually healthy masculine leadership. It's control, and it's entitlement, and it's looking out for self. True, healthy masculine leadership comes from caring about the woman. Of course, you care about each other, right? But I'm just saying in the roles here, if we're looking at a healthy masculine man, he is leading primarily. He is protecting. He's looking over the family. He's looking over the kids. He's looking over you, making sure you're safe and that you're being safe. And that's very different energy than controlling energy. Okay. And it's one of those things that I've had a hard time with because the last thing I ever want to do is feel controlled, but I also don't want to be the one that feels like I have to control everything and take charge of everything. I never ever want to experience that again. I may as well just be on my own if that's the case, right? And I think a lot of women can relate to that. You're thinking, what's the point if I have to continue to do all of it and push the relationship forward and make all the plans and lead the whole thing. And you're probably doing this. Let's go to therapy. Let's do this. Let's do that book. Let's do that. And it's not to say you can't inspire this with a healthy person. It's the way you do it, right? It's not you coming in with your spreadsheet and your graphics of what needs to happen, right? I joke about how women actually can put a PowerPoint presentation together to try and get their partner to understand them. Like, you're in the masculine role, you're pushing. You know this because you're exhausted. You have likely zero sex drive. That's the last thing that you're wanting to do. You don't feel inspiration. You don't feel gratitude. You don't feel juicy. You feel dried up, numb, and just lacking any life, life force. And so what I'm talking about here is actually when we come into this awareness of what feels best for us, what feels best, how we operate in life, in business, work, parenting, and our intimate relationships. And we start living in alignment with what feels best for us. A lot of things really become crystal clear about a relationship. And so you don't have to make any big hard and fast decision. If you commit to this path and you start doing this work, the clarity will come on its own. Because if you're not getting your needs met, then you naturally just flow in a new direction. It doesn't need to be hard and fast. What happens, it's a very slow pulling away as you come back to yourself and come back into your own body and get in touch with your needs and your ultimatums and your deal breakers. This is what I teach in my End the Cycle mentorship program. Right now I have a VIP 30-day immersion where you get weekly coaching with me and Voxer support. You go through the program with one-on-one, or I have the self-study option. So that's what I have right now if you're wanting to work with me at this time. So you are doing your own work to pull away. And this is really what I have been teaching in my programs, but not with this spin on what this actually is you stopping these masculine, pushing, controlling behaviors. And for a lot of women, it's not easy work to do. And so one thing to understand is that you cannot make a man become a healthy, masculine, safe place. It's not possible. When you're in a relationship with a man who is not in touch with his healthy masculine energy, this is the energy to protect, lead, and provide for his woman and family. And this doesn't mean just financial provision. It's part of it, but it doesn't mean just that. In fact, I do recommend women always have their own money autonomy on some level, no matter what. But you end up having to do all of the leading and protecting. And some women I've worked with are doing all of the financial providing as well. So these women are tired and they're just like spent and they feel emptied out because there's no nourishment coming back to them in the relationship. So again, you have to understand that you cannot make a man step into this. In fact, doing this work will make it very clear. Either he steps up and starts doing what he really should be doing and should have been doing all along, just in response to the work you're doing, not with any more pushing, no more explaining, no more anything. It becomes your new way of being. You're being someone different that is not a match for what's going on here. Because a relationship can't survive with two people primarily in their feminine energy. That's exactly what it comes down to. Just like a truly healthy masculine man does not want to be with a woman who has a lot of masculine traits, it would probably be very repelling. And a lot of women, and I can attest to this in the past, we are operating from this wounded place. And we operate from this push doing space as a form of self-protection. Because we learned that no one's coming, no one's here for me, I'm it. And I don't want to have to rely on anybody or be vulnerable because I've been shown that people aren't safe to trust. And so we put up this armor and we harden and we can't heal in that place. So one of the things to remember is that for a man to actually be able to have healthy masculinity, well, number one, he would have to have a very different view of women and actually have respect for them. Like, to actually have reverence for a woman and want to cherish and protect a woman, he would have to see that as that's his duty to do that. But when women are with a man that does not have that already baked into them, then you can't make that happen. Just like you can't make a man not be misogynistic and have a lower view of women and think that it's okay to treat a woman however he wants to treat because they're beneath them, right? You cannot make a man step into his healthy masculinity when it doesn't exist. All you can do is get more into your softness, more into your boundaries in your body, really understand what your needs are. What are your feelings? What are you feeling in your body? What emotions are coming up? What do you want? What do you need in a relationship? What do you want and need? What do you desire? Right? We only have this one life. And so remember, when you are forcing, leading, coercing, controlling, and mothering in your relationship with an adult man, you are not in your feminine core, your feminine essence. And you probably feel dried up, burned out, numb, and just maybe depressed. You feel emotionally numb. Maybe your body is numb. You have no sexual desire. There's no juice in the tank. Now, we all have and need some of each masculine and feminine qualities. So men, if they have some feminine qualities, this might make them able to sit and talk with you and empathize with you. And, there has to be some there. But when men have too much, they're very passive. They will let a woman serve them and take and take and take and take and let a woman take over everything, not take any healthy leadership. And maybe that's fine. I'm not saying if you are a woman that you're like, hey, I want that role. I want to do everything. I don't mind if he just sits back and lets me do it all because I got to make sure it's done right anyways. And I'm more comfortable in that energy of being the doer and the one in control and in charge. Fine. Have at it. This probably isn't for you then. This is for you if you're nodding your head and you're like, yeah, this is like exhausting and it's so unattractive. I'm so turned off. I don't enjoy this. And you want something more. And so while we're aware that each will have some of both, we need some masculine energy as women to lead where necessary in work. If you own a business, I'm in leadership right now. I'm producing content. I'm writing. I'm getting shit done. I am marketing. I am coaching women. I am in my masculine where needed, but not all the time. And I've had to really learn how to not be, especially as a single mother and running a home by myself and running a business. I've had to learn how to incorporate this work in when I am doing it all on my own, right? So there's the very real realities in that as well. But that doesn't mean that you are not connected with your feminine essence. And I really encourage that you are. Whether you're with someone in a relationship or not, or you are in a relationship, but you live on your own. I really encourage women to do this work because it's been massive for me. And like I said, I've been doing it behind the scenes for myself for at least the last 2 years in depth, like really, really diving deep into it. So when you're with a man who doesn't do his part, you end up taking it all on. And then you wonder why you feel so spent and drained. When it comes to wondering if he treats you like shit on purpose or if you should continue to waste time waiting for him to change, remember, without this healthy masculine core, not much is going to change. Again, it's about returning the energy back to you. You see, abuse, manipulation, passivity, control are not healthy masculine traits. And it took me a long time for all of this to click. This might be new to you and something you've not heard before explained in a way and in the context of being in a relationship like this where you're experiencing narcissistic abuse and cycles and an emotionally unavailable partner, unsafe space. I don't think I've heard anyone talking about this in this particular context. I'm really just developing this as I go, and I've got more coming, and I'm excited to bring something around programming for women on how to do this work, whether you're in a relationship, you're single, or you want to date. It's doing this work because you do it for you. You don't do it for a man. You don't do it to change a man, keep a man, get a man. You do it for you, to have a juicy, self-connected relationship with yourself. You do it for your own happiness and joy and pleasure and fulfillment. And then you repel men who aren't aligned with that when they see they have to step up because you actually have standards and things you expect. Or you'll attract someone in that's like, yeah, that's my jam. I like that. You're more likely to attract a healthier man when you are in your feminine. And being your feminine doesn't mean that you don't speak up, that you don't have standards, that you don't have boundaries. Absolutely not. So I want to make sure that we're not misconstruing that. So again, this isn't about men are better and that women can't lead. Not at all. This is not to say men are above women and women can't do what men can do. Of course we can, but I'm talking to the ones that don't want to. It's like, yes, I can do it all, but I don't want to. I would like to have a partner and share a life and share I don't want to say burden, but just share the load and experience what that's actually like to have an equal in that sense, where both are working together, maybe in different ways, but they complement each other. My feminine traits and what I bring complements a more masculine, logical perspective, and having a container and being led and guided and kind of even sometimes corrected in a proper way. I love all of that. I want someone who's solid and that can do all of that with respect and with wanting to cherish and protect. When you've experienced a string of toxic or abusive relationships, it's really important to get in touch with that softness in you, because what happens is we harden and we get really tough. And that really blocks us from feeling what's true for us. And then it comes out through the body. It comes out through different ailments and disease and issues and health issues. It has to, right? It has to come out somewhere. And so doing this work, it's not for the faint of heart, definitely not. But in my opinion, it is a huge key component to healing, especially after you've experienced abuse of any kind, especially intimate relationship abuse. It is a key component to healing the body if you have health issues. It is necessary to have that emotional regulation. This is part of it. And this is all work that I do with my clients. But there's going to be a new leg, I guess, or a new branch to my work. I'm not too sure exactly how I'm bringing this in, but I've already got a whole outline because I've felt it coming for a while, these changes of a new iteration of my work and how I want to help women a little differently. Even if you are in a relationship that's not working and you're trying to figure out what to do. As you know, I've not been a super big fan of just going on and on about the narcissist and all that rhetoric and content you see online. It repels me. I am so tired of that. And so if you're here listening and you're up for that and that's what you want to put the focus on your own life and become happy within yourself, to feel that spark of passion again and start outgrowing the situation naturally instead of allowing it to continue to keep you stuck, then stick around, because that's what we're going to be doing. If you want to continue to scroll and listen to stuff about narcissists, go for it. But I think that doing that for too long actually keeps us mired in the problem. I've not talked to one woman yet that said, yeah, when I watch all of those videos, it makes me feel inspired and expansive. Mostly they will say, no, it just makes me feel like shit, because it really just reinforces my problem. It reinforces the issue and where I feel stuck, instead of, oh, well, here's the solution. Let's actually put the focus elsewhere. It is about understanding that when it comes to attraction and feeling drawn to your partner, unless you want to be the masculine energy in the relationship, you will forever feel a lack of attraction because of this lack of polarity. So it's almost like, for how I would explain it is, you could say, well, I like being the masculine in the relationship, because this could be a thing. So that means I want to be the dominant masculine energy in the relationship. And so therefore I want a man that is more passive, permissive, just goes along with what it is I want, sits back, isn't taking the lead. He just lets me take over and I want to keep doing. And he's in his feminine core. It could happen because there are men that are in that place. And that might be what you're attracted to because that's your personality. And that's the role. So you can choose to say, okay, well, that's fine. I actually, that part works for me. But if you're like most women that I work with and most of you listening, that's probably not what you want. And maybe you think you do, but it really is coming from being, wounded and having to get into self-protection mode. All right. So that wraps up really what I wanted to share on this particular episode, and just to say that more of this is to come, because as I said, I really believe that if women step into this work, it will prevent women from staying trapped in a relationship that is unhealthy, and it will help women prevent getting into another one. Because when you are actually doing this work, you will be repelled by certain things, certain characteristics, and certain other things will actually be attractive to you. Like a man that takes the lead, you can count on. They're reliable. They provide structure. They are organized. They've got their shit together. They're not like Hot Mess Express while you're trying to manage their mess. Like I've seen that, oh my gosh, so many times with women. They're in there trying to rehabilitate an alcoholic or monitor a spouse who's cheating or addicted to porn. Like the stuff out there that I see in this space, because I'm in it, it makes me feel sad for women that, they don't realize there's another way, that there's something else that exists, that you don't have to stay with someone that is bringing all of that mess into your life. But it's like, if you're in your healthy feminine softness and in your body and connected to your intuition and you're in tune with yourself, what you want, need, desire, what you require, you will experience that and be like, no, this is crap. I'm not doing this anymore. You wake up because you're like, what am I doing? And I'm not saying this in a way to make fun of anyone, because I've been there, and it's getting to that place of absolute awakening of like, I'm not doing that anymore. And sometimes it's a slow burn. It's a slow process. That's okay. And sometimes you have those lightning bolt moments of awakening. But if you're doing this work and you keep bringing the focus back to you, and this isn't like it's a one and done thing. I'm still doing that work of making sure I'm not getting into other people's business and staying in my own lane instead of anticipating other people's needs. It's like, what do I need? Instead of focusing on how I can do this or that differently, or, this isn't just in intimate relationships, it's friendships too. I've definitely been guilty of wanting to fix things for other people. And this is all learning. It's codependency. It's all of that. And so if this interests you and it's something that you feel kind of intrigued by, or you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I would love more of this, come and DM me on Instagram. I'd really love to know if you like this direction, if you want to learn more, if you want to be part of whatever it is, if it's a program or a membership. I'm not too sure yet. All I know is I have a whole entire outline of a bunch of classes that I'm going to have to make. So I really feel excited about bringing this into the work that I'm doing, because it's multidimensional. You do need to understand what you're experiencing. We go through that in my program and the cycle. You have to have that awareness of what you're dealing with. And then you turn the focus into your own work when you have that awareness. You don't keep trying to fix and change and drag him to therapy and keep monitoring his treatment plan and making sure he's doing this homework and that homework, and that he's not using porn, and that he's not cheating, and he's not drinking alcohol. Like, you stop all of that stuff and you put the ownership on self and you put the energy back into self. In a nutshell, it's not always easy, and most women want to have that support and mentorship as they go through this. And so if that's something you're looking for in the new year, is to begin with high-level coaching, I invite you to book a next level consultation call with me, and we can chat about what that might look like, what it is that you want to create in 2025, what areas you want to change, what your desires are, and we can map out what that will look like for you. And then from there, we can figure out if coaching 101 or in another format would be the best fit for you. And all of the links that I mentioned in this episode are in the show notes. All right, take good care. Bye for now.
Hi, I'm Chris Gethard, and I'm very excited to tell you about Beautiful Anonymous, a podcast where I talk to random people on the phone. I tweet out a phone number, thousands of people try to call. You talk to one of them, they stay anonymous. I can't hang up. That's all the rules. I never know what's going to happen. We get serious ones. I've talked with meth dealers on their way to prison. I've talked to people who survived mass shootings. Crazy funny ones. I talked to a guy with a goose laugh, somebody who dresses up as a pirate on the weekends. I never know what's going to happen. It's a great show. Subscribe today. Beautiful Anonymous.